everyone know that they cannot be neutral and independent if they call for one side. But if you say something like that, it will make the judge have the impression that you ask the witness to tell lie on certain point, and that actually like will hurt your case. So that's all of the kind of like the detail and the area that I think you can improve, that I can be aware of. Hopefully it's helpful for you guys. Better luck on your future career.
Great comment, Chief Judge Ming, really great. So, and everyone, I remember Ming when she was a student in Vietnam. And Ming, by the way, just a note, we had Vietnamese students this morning and they were amazing. So yeah, so it's not about tipping Kamala, they were amazing this morning. So yeah, believe me, yeah, all good. Can you pick another judge?
Anil, can you provide your comment to the students?
Yeah, sure. Again, thank you everyone for such a good session. I'm sure there's a lot of prep that went into it, and a lot of difficulties that everyone has faced. Overall, I think both teams did really well. And I think Min has mentioned a lot of already valid points, so I don't want to get too deep into it. So I'll just give one or two points that I've noted from each type of prosecutor and probably the witnesses generally. In terms of prosecutor one, Andian, I believe, she was good. You were good. Your opening statements were clear. You took your time. You were calm. You were confident. I think it gave some confidence. One thing that I think you could have improved on is your cross-examination, maybe. I've noticed in your cross-examination, you've asked questions too directly. Perhaps sometimes build more of a foundation before you ask a question, because sometimes if you ask a question directly, the person will say no, and then that's about the end of it. So if you build a few smaller questions to the cross, generally, it will be more useful in practice. Prosecutor number two was also good in asking permission, and basically, besides the ending where prosecutor two unfortunately had to leave suddenly, he was quite good in like passing over the steps in the hearing, which I thought was really good. He could have had better questions that were more grounded. I remember at one point he went on and said something about Ultra. Are you really in love, you know, or are you just in it for the money? I think it went a bit crazy there, so keep it calm. The witnesses, all three of the witnesses, Diksha, Hanina, Anjali, all really good, all concise introductions and concise statements. The only thing I would say is maybe, I think Hanini was a bit, she should have been, Hanini, there was a point in Hanini's evidence where she just admitted that, oh, there was a sign that was put out by the the senior officer, although that's not true in evidence. And I think there were a few questions asked after that that really hit the reliability. So maybe just be careful if with certain information. I know that your case is to support your case, but it's worse for your case if you are caught giving unreliable evidence, because then you will lose the trust of the judges. In terms of the defense lawyers, defense lawyer one, Shanza, really good as well. Gave a lot of background on the opening statement. Could have kept it more concise with some of the points. Cross-examination questions were a bit long, so that could have been improved. Anom was really good. Anom, you were really good. I think you were really good overall. Good articulation, good use of evidence. Your closing was persuasive. Good job. And for, I think, Alice, Anam, and Kenny, the three witnesses for the defense, all also really good, also clear and concise. Some points you over-explained in the way that when someone asked an examination in chief question, you would take 2 minutes to explain your answer. So maybe keep that more concise, but that's a witness point. Besides that, all good. The two clerks were really good as well. Jigyasga and Sukriti, really good. Sorry, that's pretty long, I understand.
No, you did great. Thank you, Arnold. Thank you. And as I said, really fantastic. So Arnold, can you pick either Miriam or Jenny to give the next?
Maybe I'll pick Miriam first.
Okay.
Thank you, Arnold, and thank you, everybody. It's been really fantastic to hear all of you all. I was just telling in the judges' breakout room that this is not an easy feat, especially this particular topic. It's a trial within a trial, and as a person who's currently managing a large-scale criminal justice project in Myanmar and in other countries, I can assure you that this is so contested, various points of law, even among very well experienced lawyers and judges. You know, they don't allow it. And so this is a battle, even practically in courts. So the fact that you all took this, ownership of this topic, prepared, so well for this. And it's a daunting experience, right? I mean, I can see it's not easy to present. You have to combine various things, the law, the evidence, the theatrics, of presenting. And so I think in general, you all were super amazing. And I would just like to appreciate everyone, in the team whose English is not first language. I think it's really hard, and you all have done like brilliantly. I can't imagine doing this in another language. So for that itself, I think I'm really proud of you, and you should be proud of yourselves. So that being said, I have given actually detailed feedback in the scoring sheet, but I will be very, very brief. With regard to the prosecution side, I think the opening statement was good, it kind of laid out the case well. But one thing I would advise is to work on a powerful opener, like a hook for the case, to get the judges and to get everybody engaged in the core issues of what is being contested here. And I think that would work very well in going forward for the opening statement. And specifically, I think during the especially during the examination of Eltra, I just felt like there were many opportunities to object, which were missed. But that being said, I think the whole trial itself was quite fast, and I just felt like, you could have objected on different points, but yeah, and that just shows that, we need to really be like focused and just catch them, at that point of time. Another thing is, I think, in the cross-examination, the prosecution's cross-examination, one of the things I noticed is that sometimes, in trying to examine, it was more a repeat of the witness statement rather than, trying to find opportunities, to really get more information that would make the statement stronger, and to present the case, and then to see the law and to connect it to the law. So I felt like, there have been many opportunities which could have been used that way. And then with regard to the witnesses, Officer Strait, you were very, very convincing. And, your presentation, with your testimony, you were able to demonstrate that you acted in good faith as a police officer in the interest of community. So I really liked, because it's not this particular case, you know, I feel like it leans towards the defense. So it's really difficult for the prosecution to make that case. And I think the witness, Officer Strait, really presented that, you know, police are there for the community, and was very well prepared with the facts of the case. And likewise, Officer Narrow was also very precise, very crisp. And I think this is also something to bear in mind for witnesses, not to say too much and not to say too little, you know, and just to be very precise and not to give away too much. And I think that way Officer Narrow did very well in trying to keep, you know, to the question and to give that precise answer. And I think with Ziggy Bagman, with her testimony, she was really able to support the prosecution by setting the scene very well. I'll move on to the defense team now. The defense team, you know, was, I think in general as a team, both the defense lawyers as well as the witnesses came together very well. I mean, they complemented each other, and somehow there was a connection, and you can see this, and that made your case quite strong, you know. And I think, you know, with let me go back to my comments here. 1 minute. Yeah, I really liked the opening statement. It was very methodological, very clearly listed, you know, so you could see which direction, you know, you were going, and your strategy was clearly, you know, put out there. With regard to the defense lawyer too, I think, you know, you did an excellent job, I would say. I mean, this is what I was like looking for throughout the mock trial, to connect the facts to the law, you know, to connect different elements of search and seizure, and then connect it to due process of law and fair trial, which is ultimately the goal of this entire exercise, right? So I felt like in your closing statement, you kind of nailed it, you know, you nailed the facts of the case as well as to the elements of the law, you know, which I felt at various points, even during cross-examination or the opening statements, it was missing. And this is very important to bear in mind. Even when you do the examination or cross-examination, you have, you know, a plan, you know, you have a strategy that links it to the law, you know. I think you nailed the closing statement very well. It was dramatic, it was engaging, and it had all the ingredients. The one thing that with the defense lawyer too is that sometimes, you know, your line of questioning, I was like, oh, where is this leading? You know, where's he taking this to? So it was not very clear. The questioning was, I felt like there was the questioning, the order of questions missed the strategy of what you really ultimately wanted to put out there for the judges. But that being said, this is just a minor, you know, feedback, you know, to, I think as lawyers, we just need to have a strategy of where we want to move the court, how we want the judges to think, and to very dexterously, you know, point, you know, in areas and corners which are missing. So I feel like that could be improved with the defense lawyer too. And this is the thing, right? You know, so just like certain things which were powerfully, you know, highlighted, like, you know, I really liked, I don't know, I'm just trying to see, I think, was it the defense lawyer too, which was very interesting. And this is actually the core, you know, that who put the packages in the truck? It was not me. So that thing really stuck out. Like, and I think like the defense lawyer too also kind of highlighted like some of the things, like, so what if there are cigarettes there, you know? So, you know, in that sense, I think this is very important to like highlight and draw the court's attention, because we all come from various jurisdictions. We all come from our own, you know, judges are also coming from certain backgrounds. So there's morality linked to it, our own experiences. So it's important also to, you know, put that out there. And then I thought that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I could see the my co-judges. I think the defense witnesses were like superb. I really enjoyed it. You know, it was cast very well. And I think you were able to really, you know, stick your ground during cross-examination and re-examination. You embodied that whole, you know, role, and you took on, and you were very close to what, you know, was supposed to be, the package, the case package. So it was very, very aligned to that. So I think that the defense witnesses were super strong. They were, you know, they just, I liked Elsa, you know, just even the body language of which was correct, which, you know, with the speech, you know, like, you know, why are you like stopping me? Why are you searching? What, you know, this kind of, you know, annoyance, you know, as to, are you really following due process here, came across quite strongly. So I think there was definitely strength in the defense witnesses, you know, putting that across. I'll stop here. There's detailed comments in the
Thank you, Miriam. Fantastic. And just as a note, you know, many of the senior lawyers that Miriam works with in Myanmar, we actually did trainings with last week on this case, and taking them through. So it's really good to see how, you know, but they were fortunate to see they did it in their own language. So, and I could tell you, many of you were just as strong. So well done. Jenny, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bruce. I think most of my points have been covered by the other judges. And I think like just overall, like all of your performance are really quite impressive. And I can see that you're all well prepared, because I know that how much effort it takes to prepare for a moot. So you need to to review, to go through all the materials, and also to prepare for the oral arguments and also etc. So I can see that you've all spent a lot of time preparing for this. So well done. And as for the my suggestions, I think also for the prosecutor one, I think when making the opening statement, I think it would be better to make better use of the 10 minutes of the opening statement, just to set the scene and to introduce the background of the case, and how the procedures have been followed by the police in the concerned case, and so that the judge would be more clear about what the issues and what the background of the case is. And this would also help your your teammates and to elaborate on these issues in the following examination and also the cross-examination of the witness. And so this is my first suggestion. And also I think in the following examination, I think all the witnesses, they're really into their role, and also I think, but maybe so you might need to attend to the details more, also the time and whether this specific witness has seen the police had done the search or and had told anything to the the concerned people, so whether or not. So these factual issues, they will be really important to your witness. And this is my second opinion. And I also think that so when doing the examination, I think it will be better to think more how to frame the questions and also the sequence of the questions that you ask, because I know that sometimes like the witness answers, it was like jump from topic to topic, and it would be a bit hard for the judges to follow and to understand like what's the like ultimate purpose of asking those questions. So I think you might, so you can do better, like to frame these questions and to make it more logical and more clear. And also for the closing argument, I think defense lawyer too, you did a great job, like referring to the relevant laws, and also like to point out the violation of laws, and then elaborate on your arguments and your like analysis on these questions on the basis of that, and that makes the whole the whole argument more clear. But I think a little tip is that because I know that the defense lawyer too, he had so he had a bit hand gestures during his presentation, which definitely like increase the credibility, or the to make his arguments more persuasive. But I think it might be better to control that a bit, to make sure that it's not excessive, and not to distract the judges and all the other all the other people from the statements that you're making. And I think that's my suggestions for all the participants. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we're going to get to the scores in just 1 second, and I know it's late, but thank you all for the feedback. I want to say one thing, and it's actually in my notes. And everyone, I know we've been talking and such, but this is quite important. So if everybody, can I get everybody to do this? Everybody do this. Everybody do this, and I want to see this, and this. Okay, this is going to be really important going forward. And there's something that happened during this hearing that, all of you prepare and you prepare and you prepare and you're ready and you have your questions. But sometimes in a hearing or a trial, things happen and you need to change what you've prepared, okay? And sometimes it means you don't need to do what you've prepared, okay? So, and I'm going to give an example for about 1 minute. Okay, in the defense lawyer one, okay, Shanza ran out of time. Okay, ran out of time in the chief of Elch Park, ran out of time, which should not have happened, but she ran out of time. So she actually didn't get to all 4 issues. She never got to the 4th issue about the phone. She never got there, okay? Which means you're really left with, yeah, Officer Strait asked Elcher to open the phone. Officer Strait said that, and Elcher opened the phone. There's no evidence that Elcher Parker was forced to open the phone. All right. So the prosecution, you're going to get that. You're going to get the judge to say, I'm going to let that in. Okay. Because the defense lawyer didn't get there. Great. However, on the cross of Elcher Parker, the prosecution started talking about the phones. You should never have to, prosecutor should never have talked about the phones, because the minute you talked about the phones, you are now allowing Elcher Parker to say, I was forced to open the phones, okay? So prosecution, you should never have asked those questions. However, on re-examination, the defense lawyer never talked about the phones, forgot to ask about the phones again. So if you watch what happened here, there were multiple mistakes made. The defense lawyer ran out of time. That's a mistake. Okay. All right. And gave a gift to the prosecution. The prosecution then built the house for the defense by asking about the phones, gave a gift back, built the house for the defense. And then on re-examination, the defense failed to build the house. So you have to be thinking about, even if you're really prepared, you may not need it. It doesn't matter if in the middle of the trial, you don't need it. With that, so just use that as an example, because I watched this go back and it's in my notes as I was watching. So just read my notes, because I'm like, let's see what happens. And I was like, oh my God, everybody read my notes. You'll see it and learn from that. With it said, well done, everybody. One last comment, defense lawyer 2 on your closing. You did a great job. You did a fantastic job. Why did you go over time? Why did you go over time? Because the minute you go over time, the judges will just stop you, and you didn't need to, and you did. And that immediately makes you, in this event, you lose points. But in real life, they'll just stop you. So you were going on and on, and you had a minute left, and you were talking about policy, which is interesting. But honestly, there's nothing you could say in that last minute. Nothing you could say in that last minute that is more important than making sure you're within the time. Okay, so the worst thing you can do is go over time. All right, and if you can ask for a bit more time, but do not go over time. Okay, because I would have just cut your score in half for just going over time. Okay, you could have okay. So with that said, take that into consideration. Let's get the drum roll. Everybody ready? Are we good? Everybody thumbs up. Fantastic. Well done, judges. Thank you for being here for so long. Everybody being here for so long. And let's get the scores up. And everybody keep in mind also that part of the scores was for the closing and closing argument. For prosecutor, you did great for jumping in. So you probably didn't get as high a score because, but you did great for jumping in. So Jasmine, thank you for that, okay. So we see the scores on this. We have the defense scoring higher. As a note, I don't necessarily believe this is a defense weighted case. I think some issues are very strongly prosecution issues. And I think some of the issues are stronger defense, but I don't think all the issues are stronger for one or the other. I think it's a matter of what you're arguing and how you're arguing. But on this, really great. We're going to get the feedback for you all to prepare and to get ready for tomorrow. Is everybody good with that? As we now shift back and you're now changing sides again. So fantastic. Well done to both sides. And of course, on this, the defense scored higher. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, now everybody, here's a note. Tomorrow in the afternoon, if you're not presenting as a prosecutor, defense lawyer, witness, or clerk, you're the judge. So you now need to be thinking about how we've done this as judges, because you will be the judges, including writing down and then giving feedback. Okay, so get ready to be the judges. Okay, get ready to be the judges, because we're putting that responsibility on you. Everybody good? Okay, so I'm going to ask one thing one quick thing that we did, well, relatively quick thing. Okay, 3 questions. Everybody do this. Everybody do this. You ready? What's my question? What's my first question that I'm going to ask? What's my first question that I'm going to ask? Think back to the training workshops. What's my first question I'm going to ask about today?
One thing you learned from the event?
One thing about access to justice. Not one thing that you learned, but one thing about access to justice. So everybody in the chat, write but don't send. One thing that you learned about access to justice today that you didn't know, even with all the other workshops and all the other prep. One thing, judges, you're very welcome to write into that. Sometimes you just learn about other legal systems, or you don't have to, but if you want to write one thing that you learned today about access to justice, that would be great. Everybody, about 15 seconds, just write but don't send. Write it into the chat. One thing you learned about access to justice today. And this comes from Yeah, okay, great. This comes from everybody that's on, if you can. Everybody could turn your videos on now. Everybody turn your videos if you can, okay? Everybody turn your videos if you can. So this counts for everybody. Okay, everybody. Okay, great. All right, 10 seconds. One thing you learned about access to justice today that you just didn't know. Fantastic. Let's send it into the chat. Let's take a look. Witness characters and the relevance, and really great, okay? Bancha Kale, okay. Great, okay, let's look at that, yeah. Oh, by the way, I have to say this both for the morning and this afternoon because it wasn't mentioned. The clerks did amazing, so thank you to the clerks. We didn't mention it so much, and to the clerks, you were great, and it's so important you kept the procedure. Well done. Okay. So, okay, what's my second question, everybody? What's my second question? My second question today.
The best thing about today?
The what?
The best thing about today?
Not the best thing, not the best thing. What's the second question?
What did you learn today?
That was the first question. What's the second question? I think the thing that was most difficult for you today, something that was really difficult for you today. Okay, so let's write but don't send. Something to write but don't send. 10 seconds. Something that was really difficult today. About 5 seconds. Really difficult. Okay. And let's send. Difficult. Okay, the time management. Oh, yeah. Yep. Objection on questions. You need to think fast. Absolutely. You can't go back later and say, I would have objected to that. Ming was great. Judge Ming was like, no, you can't object later. Okay. So well done. Okay. And of course, replacing people out. But, that happens. That's why we made the teams. But yep, of course. Terrific. And then coming back. Yeah. If you're disappointing and you got to keep forward. I've been in trials where, man, I'm losing. And I have to keep what we call a poker face on just to keep moving forward, All right, everybody. Well done. Third question. Now, what's my third question? What's my third question today? I think it's what was the most fun thing today? Most fun thing today for you. The most fun thing. Everybody, let's write in most fun thing today. Most fun thing. It wasn't what we had for lunch. Okay. Okay. Right, but don't send. You're sending. Okay. Okay, you can send. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, Ken was great as Bancha Kale. Was like, oh yeah, and that person who we give food to, forget that. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. It was crazy hectic. Yeah, you saw how it is. And that often is like, okay, everybody. So well done. All right. So now we're going to be here tomorrow in the morning. You're changing sides, changing roles. And I guess we're going to see, does anybody have any questions about today or tomorrow before we get off? Everybody good? Questions? All right, I want to thank the BAPSIC. I want to thank our amazing judges, and I absolutely want to thank our BAPSICL team again for just carrying us through this.